I like the matchup?
First of all, because he didn't have the power to knock his opponents out. He didn't have the power to submit them. He's just a fighter who has a lot of volume, you know. He throws a lot of punches. Yeah, he got a great cardio, but
As a fighting, you are sure you're going to knock him out. Where does that confidence come from?
because I know what I'm able to do inside that octagon. I know about my power, my skills, my technique, my fight IQ. He's been saying that I don't have fight IQ. Come on, I'm the world champion.
And neither is any of these other guys. What ultimately will happen, though, is dollars make sense. I feel that the dollars are with Topuria. Luis, tell me how many Instagram followers Topuria has right now. Because very few fighters have so many.
I don't know that Islam should fight him first. For Makhachev, he goes and beats Ilia Topuria, right? People will say he beat Volk, he beat Ilia Topuria, Charles Oliveira, Renato Moicano. Seems pretty good. That's 5 title fight wins. But in that, it would say, well, he's defended the belt 3 times against featherweights. Because at the end of the day, guys, it doesn't matter what you do or in high regard you hold someone. The fact that he was the champion in the lower weight class is what's going to be pointed to.
Ilia Topuria can be basking in the glory of being champ, but Daniel Cormier doesn't believe in his prospects of fending off Islam Makhachev. In a hushed-up interview, DC explains why Topuria's fight camp will not be able to insulate him from the storm brewing his way. Daniel Cormier recently spoke about the lightweight division and made it plain. Islam Makhachev and Charles Oliveira aren't afraid of anyone, particularly not Ilia Topuria. In DC's opinion, both men are battle-tested, championship-level fighters who fought the world's best. He brushed aside the notion that either man would duck a challenge.
For sure, Islam Makhachev is not afraid of him. I'll tell you this, as a person that's a friend of Islam, a person that's known Islam for years and years and years, he's not afraid of him. So while Ilia Topuria may strike some fear in most, or some, Islam's not afraid of him. And honestly, I'll be honest with you, like, neither is Justin Gaethje, neither is Charles Oliveira, neither is Dustin Poirier or Michael Chandler. Those guys aren't afraid of each other. They're fighters. And when you're a fighter, fear is kind of the last thing that crosses your mind in regards to another fighter.
DC added that, while there's no fear in either Islam Makhachev or Charles Oliveira, it still is reasonable for the bout to be staged because of Ilia Topuria's increasing popularity. He emphasized that Topuria's popularity, particularly in Spain, attaches a tremendous amount of attention and interest to any possible bout. The massive popularity and marketability of Topuria might make the bout more appealing to the UFC, even though it is not the greatest test for Islam's legacy.
And neither is any of these other guys. What ultimately will happen, though, is dollars make sense. I feel that the dollars are with Topuria. Luis, tell me how many Instagram followers Topuria has right now. Because very few fighters have so many. Makhachev has 10 million now. He's a star. Topuria has, Luis is going to throw it in the chat here in a second, and I'll tell you, Topuria has 7 million Instagram followers. When have we ever had a fight between 2 MMA fighters who have a combined 17 million followers on Instagram? We don't. Dollars make sense. And ultimately, when it makes sense to both parties, I believe it'll happen.
DC, though, noted an important dynamic. Whereas Charles Oliveira is clamoring for a title shot and Islam Makhachev is looking to cut down to 170, the most marquee bout the lightweight division can provide today is Islam versus Ilia Topuria. Cormier feels it's the type of matchup that creates real hype, particularly with Ilia having just won the title in impressive fashion at featherweight. It's champion against champion, and in DC's opinion, that bout sells more than anything else available at 155 right now.
For Islam and for Charles is like, Islam wants to fight someone that's not had been at 145. Charles wants a title fight. There's so many people that seem to have a clear idea of what their direction is, that's why I think they don't want to fight Ilia. But ultimately, to fight Ilia is to be in the biggest fight that the weight class can give you right now. Because watching how all this has worked out from the outside, I see now, or I can respect the type of cachet that he has.
Meanwhile, when Dana White was queried regarding the chances of Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria, he didn't give a definitive answer. The UFC president appeared ambivalent, conceding the hype, but not quite committing to actual plans. Dana is aware it's a huge fight on paper, but timing, divisions, and other fighters still make things tricky.
It's going to be Ilia Topuria versus Islam. Is that a
Well, we all know that fight's happening. The Duplessis versus Hamza fight. It's happening. It's just not happening in international fight week. That fight's done. Just not happening now.
And Ilia Islam?
What's that?
Ilia versus Islam?
We'll see. We'll see how it plays out.
Daniel Cormier mentioned in a sit-down interview with Ilia Topuria the tremendous pressure involved with being an undefeated champion and the face of a surging market such as Spain, but Ilia didn't bat an eye. He replied calmly to the burden of the moment and made it clear, win or lose, he's constructed to return stronger. Topuria's confidence was evident, demonstrating he's mentally engaged no matter the stakes. DC appeared to be impressed by how level-headed and focused Ilia stayed under that limelight.
No, but it's like there's a lot of pressure. And I said that you can't lose.
Maybe for you. Of course I can lose.
You can't. No, I'm saying you can't.
Why not?
Bro, you done told us all that. You gonna lie to me?
Okay.
So you lied to me now?
No.
Because you told me you win, and
I will win. I will, of course I will win.
Yes.
But if something goes from the way that I didn't want it, what's gonna happen?
Nothing. You just come back and fight again, work yourself way back.
Of course. Do you think I'm gonna give up ever in my life?
No.
I'm
don't seem like
always gonna know when I'm gonna look myself in the mirror who I am. I'm never gonna lose that trust in myself.
Ilia Topuria didn't merely talk with confidence. He detailed his plan to defeat Islam Makhachev. In talking with Cormier, Ilia highlighted movement, distance control, and crisp striking as major variables. He thinks Islam is built on pressure and grappling, but with proper timing and angles, he's confident he can neutralize that. Topuria noted that Makhachev has not encountered anyone with his speed and accuracy on the feet.
First of all, because he didn't have the power to knock his opponents out. He didn't have the power to submit them. He's just a fighter who has a lot of volume, you know. He throws a lot of punches. He got a great cardio, but at the same time, I feel more calm to be with someone like him inside the cage, because I feel like if I make some mistakes, he will not be able to knock me out.
Yes.
You got me what
I
I'm telling me? So I will be more like relaxed in the fight, which makes me feel more comfortable even in the fight. The only thing I had to do is to prepare myself for 5 very hard rounds, which I did.
Topuria also highlighted his excellent fight IQ and well-rounded skill set, making it apparent that he really does think he is going to knock Islam Makhachev out. Speaking with confidence, Ilia said he understands the kind of fighter Islam is and knows exactly how to approach the matchup. He credited his timing, precision, and adaptability as key tools that would allow him to land the shot that ends the fight. For Topuria, it's not just hope, it's a conviction rooted in his belief that he's the more complete and dangerous fighter.
As you're fighting, you are sure you're going to knock him out. Where does that confidence come from?
Because I know what I'm able to do inside that octagon. I know about my power, my skills, my technique, my fight IQ. He's been saying that I don't have fight IQ. Come on, I'm the world champion.
But in another example, Daniel Cormier broke down why Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria may not be the best matchup, at least from a legacy perspective. Per DC, defeating a featherweight coming up doesn't do much for Islam's resume as a lightweight champion. He contended that Makhachev must continue to clean out his own division or move up to challenge a top welterweight if he wishes to solidify his status among the greats.
From Islam's side, he already gave 2 145-pound champions title fights. Both of them, Islam won. Now a third time? Okay, let's imagine that Ilia moves up and gets a title shot right away. Islam beats him. Then Ilia fights again, he loses again. So basically, he was a nobody at 155. Islam beat a nobody at 155 because of that time. But because of that, in terms of legacy for Islam, for his resume, I understand Islam's risk.
Daniel Cormier was asked about Islam Makhachev's strength and mentioned a previous grappling session that opened his eyes to how powerful Islam actually is. DC said the second they locked up, he could feel Islam's strength and control right away, describing it as a level of strength. He was clear that this brutal, functional power isn't just for display, it's what makes Islam such an overwhelming presence. In Cormier's opinion, that level of strength would be suffocating for someone like Ilia moving up in weight.
There's been moments where we're in practice and I'm going with Khabib or Islam and I'm the big guy. So generally, a smaller guy gets on top of you. When you decide it's over, you just throw him off of you. Yep. No technique, no skills. You just literally grab him and you kind of throw him off of you. I'm grappling with Islam once and I try to throw him off of me, but he's still there. And so I give him a little harder shove and he's still there. Next thing you know, I'm grappling at 100% because the dude's that strong. But again, I had never really grappled with him in that way, like at a decent pace. So I didn't recognize the strength when he was trying to keep me down.
Aaron Pico also weighed in, agreeing with Cormier's assessment of Islam Makhachev's strength. As a top-level wrestler himself, Pico stressed how grappling with someone like Islam isn't technically about technique, it's about having to deal with relentless pressure and physical dominance. He concurred that Ilia Topuria, no matter his striking and momentum, would be dealing with a different type of challenge if he got into the cage with Makhachev.
That's what a champion essentially is supposed to look like. Make the calls, go out there, deliver on the calls, then all of a sudden vacates the title. I mean, how do you feel? Because you said earlier, like, you were looking at him and going, there's holes here.
I think it's good for the sport, to be honest with you. I mean, him and Islam, I mean, people really want to see that. Everybody has their own style, and it seems like his style is just doing what he did. Honestly, I believe Islam is just a little too much for him, but I'm also a fan, you know, so I would have loved to see that.
Joe Rogan also chimed in, pointing to Islam Makhachev's dominating victory over Charles Oliveira as proof of his strength and grappling prowess. Rogan pointed out how Islam was able to dominate Oliveira on the mat, something that most believed would be a problem with Oliveira's submission abilities. To Rogan, that fight proved not only Makhachev's striking and fight IQ, but also his will to impose and physically overwhelm top-level fighters. Joe made it clear that whoever enters the cage with Islam would have to contend with his overwhelming grappling pressure.
Islam's choke must be otherworldly.
To do that to Charles?
The moment he's passing, Charles is tapping. Like, his squeeze has got to be off the fucking charts. I talked to DC about it. I go, his fucking squeeze must. He goes, oh, dope. I had him demonstrate a choke on me. And I thought it was gonna be fun. You know, like, show me how you do that. Show me how you do it. He goes, dude. When he grabbed a hold of me, I was like, oh shit, this guy's gonna choke me. And that's DC.
Yeah, DC's a thick bastard.
He's
look at him, right?
2-division champion. The moment he gets to the side, watch this pass, clamps it down.
Fast.
Charles just taps.
Yeah.
The most submissions in the history of the UFC, and he taps like that.
Yeah. Charles's little run he had right there with Chandler, Gaethje, Poirier. That's right.
Yeah, he tapped everybody.
Yeah.
He's a monster. Charles is a guy that just changed, fighting this do-or-die assassin.
Tom Aspinall, however, was not in agreement with the general view, being certain that Ilia Topuria possesses the ability to submit to Islam Makhachev. Aspinall identified Ilia's excellent grappling and submission game, betting that Topuria's all-around skill set could catch Islam by surprise. He thinks Ilia's aggressive, high-paced style may be the answer to keeping Makhachev guessing, and if the fight does go to the mat, Ilia has the grappling skills to potentially win with a submission. It's a brash call, but Aspinall does see a way for Topuria to win.
Ilia's come out saying he's going to be the first person to submit Islam. How do you see that? Do you think he can do that?
Love the confidence. And I think a lot of people, they look at Ilia and people like that and think, oh, this guy's cocky. But I love it, you know. I'm like, that's what I need to aim for, is that level of confidence.
The difference is it's not cockiness, it's confidence.
I mean, it probably is a bit of cockiness, but I like it anyway. I think it's a tough task. I think if anyone can do it, I wouldn't count him out, do you know what I mean? I think Islam is like unbelievable, obviously. He's got a chance. I'm saying he's got a chance. I'm not saying he's going to do it, but I'm saying he's got a chance.
Moving on, Ilia Topuria reiterated that confidence, indicating that he is certain he can submit Islam Makhachev should the fight reach the mat. Ilia's confidence was on display when he talked about his grappling, noting that while Islam is a strong opponent, he has dealt with difficult challenges in the past and is capable of adjusting.
Ask me, I feel that I have the advantage in everything. This is what I truly believe. Me personally, I would ask him, like, what's your favorite submission? Whatever, I don't know. Dark show. I'm gonna submit you with that.
This is a guy that's trained and coached by Khabib, who, 28-0, stories that he's never lost a round in his life.
I take him close to Khabib. I will submit him closer to Khabib.
You'll submit him in front of Khabib?
Yeah. I take him. Khabib used to take people and he shoulder, take them down and talk to Dana. I would do it to Khabib. Like, I will take him,
and then talk to Khabib.
Talk to Khabib. Khabib, I have to do it.
What would you tell him?
No, I wouldn't. Like, all the respect, but this is how I feel. I feel that I submit him with the Dars.
But that's not the path Islam Makhachev feels is in his best interest for his legacy. During a sit-down with Demetrius Johnson, Islam spoke about how he feels about going up to 170 pounds, indicating that it would be in his best interest for his long-term career and legacy. Makhachev conceded that though he's impressive at lightweight, rising to welterweight would be a new test and a welcome opportunity to cement his legacy among the greats. To Islam, the challenge of meeting new opponents at 170 looked more intriguing than remaining stuck at lightweight.
Opportunity to come up and challenge you, right? Ilia Topuria is talking about coming to 155, and you're like, I'm tired of these little people coming up to fight me. But one of your friends, you guys are teammates, you and Bilal,
and I just waiting for my chance, because not make sense give the chance third time from the same guy who come. If I beat, I beat the Volkanovski twice. People still say you beat small guy. He's not your weight division. If I beat Topuria, it's gonna be same. Everybody gonna talk same. But if I go up, takes a second belt, this is a legacy.
Yeah.
I want to be like you,
Chael Sonnen's contention was that a bout with Ilia Topuria would prove harder for Islam Makhachev than going up against 170 division opponents. Sonnen noted that even though the lightweight division is full of talented fighters, Topuria offers a combination of power, aggression, and grappling that might cause more issues for Makhachev. He highlighted that Islam's typical approach, based on control and pressure, may not be as effective against Ilia's high pace and dynamic skill set, so it would be a harder fight than some people would anticipate.
There is no size difference between Ilia and Islam. It's a 145 versus a 155. Do 45 pounders and 55 pounders not know? You weigh the same thing. You're talking about a 10-pound spread in the worst of cases. Are you aware that Muhammad Ali, when he was the heavyweight champion of the world, weighed 198 pounds? George St. Pierre versus Michael Bisping comes to mind. Lighter of the two, George St. Pierre, winner. I don't know how Ilia would do with Islam. I'm just blown away by the analysis that he would have no chance. That's very strong language. What piece of history are you basing an advantage to the larger guy? I would love an answer. Tell me a time that the lighter guy got outmanned. Every wrestler knows the hardest guy to take on is the top guy from one weight class below you.
In the meantime, Bilal Muhammad did not agree with Ilia Topuria, jumping directly into a bout against Islam Makhachev. He thinks Topuria must earn his stripes in the lightweight division first before receiving a title opportunity against the champ. In Bilal's view, although Ilia's featherweight achievements are impressive, deserving a title bout at 155 means defeating top contenders in the same weight class.
The people never want to give Team Khabib their respect, right? They want to see them lose so bad. They just want to, shun them and, put hate on them no matter what it is. Where, like, when he beats Volkanovski, who was the pound for pound best fighter in the world at that time in a close fight, it was like, oh, he sucks. Blah, blah, he didn't finish him. He should have finished him. He's a 45er. Then he goes out there, finishes him, and it's like, well, Volkanovski was a 45er. So now Topuria, I think he's a little bit smaller than Volkanovski, he's going to move up. And then if Islam dominates him, oh, well, he's a 45er. He could go back down. So there's really nothing to gain for Islam from fighting him. So when he says, oh, let him fight somebody else, earn it, like, he's not saying I won't fight him. He's saying, bro, let him earn it.
That sentiment in mind, Chael Sonnen presented alternative scenarios for Ilia Topuria if he climbs up to lightweight. Rather than going directly into a title bout, Chael presented battles against Charles Oliveira, Arman Tsarukyan, or even Paddy Pimblett. He thinks these fights would help Topuria build credibility at 155 while building even more hype.
Who would you like to see Ilia fight, knowing it's not going to be Islam? Islam's going to have something to do. The current belief is Gaethje. What
What do you want to do with Ilia? Gaethje, Islam off the board. Poirier, Max off the board. You're at Sarukian. We're told about this Georgia thing. We're told that those guys won't fight. That doesn't work anywhere within the UFC. You got Charles, you got Sarukian, you got Paddy the Baddy. Who would you put with Ilia Topuria? Those are your options.
On the possibility of Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria actually being made, MMA Guru sided with Ilia as the possible winner. He cited Topuria's explosive striking, slick jiu-jitsu, and relentless confidence as major factors. Guru believed that Ilia's speed and fight IQ could pose real issues for Islam, particularly early in the bout.
Who wins, Ilia or Islam? Chimaev or DDP? Izzy or Sean? Ilia Topuria, mate. Ilia wins, flatline KO, and then teabags Makhachev's face live on pay-per-view, balls out and everything. They have to cancel the fucking pay-per-view and have an apology message up on the screen via ESPN. UFC loses their sponsorships. Chimaev or DDP? Probably Chimaev, but I could see DDP if he looks improved against Strickland, especially in the grappling department. Izzy or Sean? Sean. Strickland, you mean? Yeah.
But Michael Bisping took the exact opposite view, strongly advocating for Islam Makhachev in a possible bout with Ilia Topuria. Bisping complimented Topuria's ability, but highlighted Islam's dominance, experience, and all-around game as huge plus factors. He noted Islam has had no problem with elite-level opposition at lightweight, and that he thinks Topuria, having stepped up from featherweight, would have trouble with Islam's size, power, and wrestling pressure.
Topuria versus Islam Makhachev, which is just a sensational blockbuster, and there's some other huge matchups out there as well. Anyway, what do you think? Who's it gonna be? It's gonna be Islam, but what do you think about everything what I said?
Catch you in the next one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more fight talk.